All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Patty's Aquatics Live, and welcome to Beyond the Dirt. Today, I've got a special guest, Branton Lightcap, and I'm very excited to have you on. Love chat. I see you in the chat all the time. I've been watching your videos lately. I watch you on Saturday nights with Kyle from Inside Out Aquatics with your guys' co-host live stream. And quite honestly, I see you all the time on Facebook groups commenting on posts, and I think that's awesome too. So
Yeah.
welcome to the live stream.
Well, thanks for having me.
So if people don't know anything about you, why don't you kind of introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Branton Lightcap. Just kind of found the YouTube community not too terribly long ago, maybe a little under a year. Had no idea this kind of was all here, and kind of just put myself out there, and it's been pretty nice so far. I like it.
Nice. So I guess we can delve right into the whole conversation. So basically, how did you get into the hobby then to start with? Like, what was the first time you ever got indulged with the hobby of getting a tank or a fish, and like what was your first setups? Any of that kind of information?
Yeah, I first got into the hobby. My parents had a tank, a fish tank that I kind of grew up watching. So that was really cool. I was always into like being outside, nature kind of thing. So naturally, fish is just kind of falls into that. I didn't where I grew up. I didn't live far from the river or like we had like a little swamp area too. So I was always down there, fishing, catching frogs and turtles and stuff, and bringing them home and you know playing with them for a little while. Eventually, letting them go again. But so it was just kind of always like that, I guess. And yeah, as soon as I got, old enough to where I could manage fish tanks, I got my own tank. My parents, yeah, my parents' house, and it just kind of blossomed from there. Just, you know, kept growing.
Nice. How old were you when you got your first tank?
16. Yeah.
What was the first? Okay, what was the size of your first tank, and then what was the first fish or inhabitant you put into it, and then what kind of setup was it for the first time you ever did it?
Yeah. So my first tank was a 75 gallon, and I had African cichlids.
Okay, nice. That's something I've never done. My oldest son was into African cichlids for quite a while. I always thought they're very beautiful, very colorful, and very cool. It's just hard. Well, as we know, with planted tanks, it's really, I think that's kind of a harder thing to go by. I mean, I think you could probably
Yeah.
get away with it with certain type of plants potentially, but you'd never be able to have these big, lush, luxurious planted tanks with them, I would assume.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. Plants didn't come into play for me until long after I had been in the hobby.
How did you get into plants then? How did that come about?
I mean, you see pictures of all these planted tanks, and I mean, you go to the pet store and they're selling plants, but I was never able to really to keep them because of the fish that I was keeping, obviously.
I suppose, yeah.
Um, so finally, once I switched away from the agro African cichlids and got more into the community fish, I was able to really explode with my plant, you know, I guess usage.
Nice. It kind of sounds somewhat similar to me, except I didn't do the African cichlids. When I
Mm,
first got into the hobby, my first fish I ever got was a piranha, and I knew nothing
okay.
about the hobby. It was I think I had blue gravel
Yeah.
and one piranha, red belly, and it never ate or killed anything. I didn't really know anything about it, but I wanted like aggressive fish. I wanted a fish that could eat other fish, and I've said this before, but that's why I got the logo of a piranha. It's my first fish ever, and
hmm
I was scared. I knew nothing about plants. Everything I read about at that time was just like, oh, they're too hard to take care of. I don't want to do any of that. So I had plastic plants. Ugh, plastic plants, and
Yeah.
it took many years until I got out of the hobby for a little bit and then got back in, and that's when I came across like Corey from a Core and Co-op and started
hmm
to like look at plants and see it. And the guy I worked with showed me his tank that he has. That was a 75-gallon tank that was heavily planted. I'm just like drool going down my face. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want that. So
Yeah.
dug right in and got into plants. I'm like, why did I not ever do this so long ago?
Yeah.
That's cool. So I had seen recently, I know you shared it and showed me those pictures. You picked up a lot of tanks lately. You want to tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that?
Well, me and it was kind of a deal set up by Jeff Kane, if you guys know him. The Madison Aquarium Society was getting rid of a bunch of tanks that they had from an event they did like a year or so ago. So me and Jeff met up with Keith, Fish Nerd is the YouTube name he goes by. But we all met up in Madison, and Jeff actually got way more tanks than I did. I think Jeff walked away with 52 tanks, and or no, 42,
Yeah.
and I left with 20.
And now you have, I think you said that you plan on using them for like species only, like breeding projects and stuff like that.
Yeah, yep, more or less. I already got what behind me is some of these new tanks, so there's 7 of them all set up and running already.
What are the setups on them? Are you just like using regular sand and stuff, or are you doing any type of dirted ones, or what are your plans of setups?
Yeah, this whole setup is all basically what I had laying around. So I mean the substrate is pool filter sand, it's super cheap. You get a lot of it. It's
Heck
easy
yeah.
to work with. It's clean.
Yep.
Um, and then I mean as far as pumps and lights, whatever I had laying around, the stand I pulled out of the scrap bin at work, painted
Nice.
it black. It's just old there's a big tractor mower deck came on this big metal stand. So whoever had it, cut it in half. Well, I was gonna take both halves. The other one was kind of bent up. I don't know if that happened when they were throwing it in the bin or whatever. But the other one was in pretty good shape. It's like a perfect table.
Nice.
And so yeah, that's what they're all sitting on. And then yeah, just basically whatever extra supplies I've had laying around, I've been trying to do this, as cheap as possible.
Yeah, that's the
Ra-
way I do the stuff too. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't.
I mean,
Yeah,
rather than letting this stuff sit around like it has been, I figured I'd just put it to use. That way, it's
absolutely.
not just collecting dust.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get all my substrate now from Lake Michigan, the beach.
Okay,
I
yep.
don't know if that's legal, but
Oh,
I, I
I've
go
got
down to
one.
the beach. I take buckets. I take 5 gallon buckets and a little shovel. I go down to my local beach here in my city, and I just go down there, and people are looking at me. I'm just like
Yeah,
carrying it back up, like I go like, yes, I don't care. It's free sand.
yeah. See, in situations like that, because I like to take a lot of. I got some sand from Superior when we were up there recently. Bunch of rocks from Superior too. But luckily for me, I've always got the girls with me, so I just make them do it. That way, you can't really get mad at 2 little girls.
Very true. Very true. I always wonder what people think of me when I'm sitting there digging up freaking all the sand from the beach.
Yeah.
Like, what was the guy gonna make a big sandcastle out there? Like, yeah.
Now, how did you find that sand putting it in your tank? How did you find that? Did that mess with your water parameters for a while?
I've had no issue. The only
Okay.
problem is the sand from that beach is like it's a finer sand. It almost reminds me of like more of the like a play sand as far as like it can get messed around a little bit. Not as bad. Now pool filter sand I've used before too, and I really like pool filter sand because it seems to be more like a heavier, denser sand that it's not like you can't like get it all brushed around where it scatters into the water
Hmm.
column. This stuff doesn't really scatter into the water column too bad, but it does get blown around a little bit more than pool filter sand. But I really do like it, and it is, well, free.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because that tank that I set up with the Superior sand, it seemed like I don't know if there was a bunch of organics in it or what, but it like took forever for me to get my parameters in check. It just took
Yeah,
a really long time. And maybe Superior is like it's that real red sand, so probably a lot of clay in there.
that could be.
I don't know if that had something to do with it or not, but
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, mine is it's complete. Like I get it closest to the lake as I can too. I don't mind if it's a little wet because I figure all that little microorganisms and bacteria in it within it will kind of help jumpstart the tank as well.
Mhm.
I even find little shells here and there, but it's like as long as there's nothing like big living in there, we're all good. But yeah, I enjoy trying to just like get everything from my tanks from nature for the most part that I can. Like rocks, that kind of stuff. I'll get down with the beach too. I'll go take a walk around and walk around the beaches and stuff and look for rocks. Um, Beginning of this summer and last summer, I was on the hunt for driftwood wherever I could find, walking up and down the beaches looking for wood. It's just fun. I mean,
It
I
is
find
fun.
it's enjoyable not only because, like I said, it can kind of tell a story within your aquariums. If people come over and want to
Hmm.
look at them, you can say, "Hey, I got this there. I collected myself." And maybe people that aren't completely into aquariums and think, "Really, you can do that?" And just it just like I said, it tells a story. I think it's cool, and plus, it saves you mad bucks because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, some of these pieces of woods at stores are so freaking expensive. It's
Hmm.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Growing up down by so I lived on the river, but it was the Rock River, but they had a channel that ran the powerhouse for the town. So there was like a channel they had cut out and kind of diverted just a little loop from the river that ran through the powerhouse. And well, where the dams were, they would take and they would pull out all the wood that would collect in the locks there, and they would just pile it up next to the dam and just like this big pile. So I mean, you could go down there and you could find any type of piece of wood you were looking for, shape, size, whatever you wanted. I mean, it was great.
Nice.
So I utilized that a lot.
Oh yeah, that would be a perfect thing to
Hmm.
have. And I was a kid. We had a property up in northern Wisconsin, and we had a property on a lake. This was a long time ago, but there was so much wood there and driftwood there. Thinking at that time, but I wasn't. I didn't have to. I was a younger kid, so I never thought about them. But I was like, damn, if I would have thought about that then and collected all this wood, there's such great places to be able to do that. Where now, like I said, it took me forever looking on the banks of Lake Michigan to try to find the wood because I was more looking for certain pieces that I wanted. Like this summer, I was looking for that tank that got the Oscar in. I wanted like a stump initially, so a smaller stump that could sit up. So
Hmm.
it's kind of hard when you want to find something that's got to fit in a certain size. And like, this is what I want. I never found it, so I wound up going a different direction. But yeah, I just like I said, just being outside in nature and walking around, I think is completely and utterly enjoyable. I just love that
Hmm.
part of it. So back to you though. In your tanks, can you reveal any of the types of fish that you want to or are planning on putting within these tanks and potentially trying to breed or any of that type of stuff?
Yeah, that's fine. So currently I've got another batch of plecos in the breeder box, kind of growing out. Um, hanging off this tank behind me. Let's see here. Hanging off this tank behind me here. So they're in the breeder box over here. Currently in here is that new colony of yellow shrimp that I just picked up. There's a eventually my L519s are going to go in here. I got a group of 519s that I've been breeding. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think. Behind me, I've got some Skiffia multipunctata that I got from Ed's Exotic Aquatics. So these guys are really cool. They were in my pond. What I worked on yesterday morning. I had to completely drain my pond, pull everything out of it, catch the fish, fill it back up. Um, then right next to them, I got some Florida least killifish from Curtis at Skull Aquatics.
Okay,
Those guys are really fun to watch. Little pint-sized predators, man. They're funny.
nice.
Yeah, I dropped some white worms in there the other day for the first time, and to see them, I mean, they act like full-grown, giant fish when they hit those worms. They'll hit them and then they'll shake it around and shake their head around and just shake the little worm. It's really cool to watch.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then what? Right next to that, I've got a small school of ember tetras. I got a pair that I picked up yesterday from Tristan's Tropical Fish,
Nice.
Borellii. It's a kind of a pisto.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna see if I can't get them breeding in some harder water. Um, all the research that I did, the Borellii was kind of the one that kept coming back. Because the pistos do like the little bit softer water. Um, but these guys, from everything I've read, are pretty adaptable. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Next to them, I got two new groups of shrimp on Friday night. Uh, this the orange eye blue tigers, so they're Cardinia. Um, gonna try and get them going. Apparently they're supposed to be already neoparameter acclimated. Um, so far they're doing fine, but if I can get them breeding in my hard water, that'd be cool too. Because
Yeah, it would
the Cardinia, they're kind of, the softer water kind of thing.
yeah, I've
But
never kept them, but
and then next to them, I've got some ocean blue Neos. Um, those guys are really pretty, really, really deep blue. And then next to them, so that'd be the seventh tank on this little stand here. I had a pair of green dragon bristlenose that have been living in the pond forever. So I finally got them out, and now they got their own tank too.
nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually found something in one of my tanks. Since we're talking about fish and breeding a little bit, I have the Matano rice fish that I got from LRB Aquatics,
Okay.
and I had them in my 29 tank when we were talking earlier about planario worms when I moved them because I didn't know if maybe they were eating the eggs because every morning I would see they'd have clusters of eggs on their bellies. When I moved them into my 20 long, they were just so skittish and scared since I moved them, and I think I freaked them out, and it's been, I don't know, probably well over a month now. It does 2 months maybe. I don't remember when I did it, but I would never see eggs on them anymore. Well, the other day, all of a sudden I saw a female that had a cluster of eggs. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Nice.
okay, maybe they're going to start to breed now. And I talked to LRB a little bit in email. He told me that they like to predate on their young very much. So if you have a heavily planted tank, it's better, they have a better chance of surviving. Well, I happened just to be looking in the tank last night when I was feeding fish, and I saw little clumps of algae that are in the back a little bit. And I was like, well, I'll leave them in there in case it wants to breed on them or something like that. And I looked, there was one egg. I'm like, oh,
Sweet.
I got to get it out of there. So I'm like, what do I do? So I got a little Tupperware container that I had. Another guy, Scott from Raising Fishes, sent me a bunch of rice fish eggs for me to hatch out. I had just got done hatching them out, so I took that container, filled it with water, stuck my hand in that tank, and was searching. It's so hard to try to get one freaking egg out from the back of the tank. I'm like, oh my God, please don't crush it. I'm like, I don't even know if I have it. I put it in there. I'm like, I don't think I got it. I looked, wait a minute, I got it. I'm like, yes, got one egg.
Nice.
I put it up with an air stone or the little air pump in there for now. It was gently going. So we'll see what happens. They're supposed to be a tropical fish. So I keep that tank at 75. I think the room temperature down here in my basement is probably in that 68, the lowest, to maybe 70. So we'll see what happens. There'll be an experiment to see if I can get it to hatch. And if that's the case, I had put spawning mops in there before, but they would never ever put anything on them. So I always wondered where they put them. So they're putting them
now.
on.
Now, did you said you had plants in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I've never kept rice fish, but from everything that I've heard about them is that if you want to use the mops, it needs to be pretty much just the mops.
Yeah.
That way they're laying on the mops, because if they got the option to lay on natural, live plants, they're gonna do that.
Yeah, and I figure that my whole goal initially is to try to get them to breed naturally in their aquarium, but the impatience in me thought I'll throw some mops in there too. Maybe I'll get lucky and they'll be like, "Oh, what's this? Let's rub some eggs off onto it," which never happened. I did the same thing too for my King Yamas over here. I got plants in there too. I haven't seen egg clusters on them at all, but I put some spawning mops in there for a little while and nothing was going in there, so I just took them out for now. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. I was all giddy telling the wife last night when I came up there. My wife is not a big fish fan. I think I annoy the I know I annoy the crap out of her with all the fish talk and fish this, fish that. So when I go up there and tell her, she's like, "I got great news," and she's like, "What? You successfully put your Oscar in a planted tank?" I'm like, "You saw my post, didn't you?" like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. like, I found an egg. I found an egg for my rice fish. So it was exciting.
Yeah, no, mine's kind of the same way. She's into it, but yeah, I can be a little bit like, I tend to hyper focus on things that like that, I guess. So yeah, I'm always fish.
Oh God, yeah. I have an addictive personality. It seems to like waver from certain subjects. Typically it's fish year round. This time of year it comes with NFL football and fantasy football. I get addicted to that as well. But fish stuff, I don't know. It's been nonstop for years now, and she tells me all the time. She's like, I think I would be into it more if if I wasn't so crazy about it. But so, but I'll still always try. She does like my puffer fish, and she likes the goldfish that I had. I only got one left, but yeah, she always says my
Yeah.
fish aren't colorful enough for her.
Yeah, I actually got mine a puffer fish to kind of help, ease that in.
Nice. What
It's
kind of
just
puffer do you
she's
get?
she's she's got a little pea puffer. He's fun.
Okay, cool. Heck yeah. Oh,
Watching
they're
him,
awesome.
yeah, watching him eat white worms is pretty cool.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I had pea puffers for a little while. That's a story that too. Um, I got 3 of them from a fish store up in Green Bay because that's all they had left. I think it was 3 of them, yeah. And I wanted more, so I ordered more from a website. They sent me 10 of them, and they were like a freaking tiniest little freaking things you could see. Like, I can't put them in there with them. They're gonna freaking get eaten and killed. So raised them up, got them big, put them all together, all cool. They were very awesome. I really liked them a lot. And then I wanted the tank for something else, so I put them in my 10-gallon tank, which I had a beta in, and
Hmm.
they were going good for a while. And then all of a sudden one morning I woke up and I'm like, why does the beta have no fins?
Yeah.
Oh crap. The beta was
Hmm.
my daughter's fish too. So that was like, she's like, oh, I was like, I told you not to put it in there. I'm like,
Yeah.
sorry. So,
Yeah. So far, so good with mine. I've got so the pond that I mentioned earlier was like just overrun with guppies. I had hundreds of guppies in there, so I've been slowly kind of getting rid of those, and I finally got rid of them all. I actually caught the last 3 out of there yesterday morning that I missed the first time. I took everything out of there, drained the water, caught them all.
mhm.
Um, but no, I've got 2 guppies that are living with our puffer fish, 2 male guppies, and so far so good. I mean, they seem to be okay.
Yeah. That's cool. He said mine got along with them fine. It just for some reason all of a sudden, just I don't know. I think they just didn't like that beta no more.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so what else are you up to? Do you have like okay? Let's get to your channel a little bit since you just kind of got it. Like, what got you into YouTube? Like, what made you want to start a channel and start it up?
Um, I don't know, just not really having anybody that I know, I mean, all too personally, kind of enjoying the fish tanks as much as I do. So I kind of, started hopping into some of the live streams and, seeing the community aspect of it and just being able to kind of have that, uh, I guess, community was really appealing to me. To have like-minded people around.
And that is cool because this is definitely a community. I can agree with you there. When I started my channel up, it was kind of by happens to be a joke and just fun, and then took off a little bit and just realized all these different people are out there, and it was fun being able. Still is fun to be able to kind of meet up and talk like with you today, and meet up and
Hmm.
talk to people and like meet new people all the time. So it definitely is a very cool thing. All right. So do you have any goals for the channel, like other than
Uh,
just keep
Honestly,
doing what
not
you're
really. I mean, the channel's there, I'm I don't see myself ever, getting real good at editing videos or, you know, anything like that. I mean, I do my best, but it's basically there as more of a, I don't know, just if anybody really cares what I got going on, go ahead and check it out. If you don't. But uh yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of nice to have it all in one centralized place for me personally.
doing?
In case I ever want to look back on stuff or, if anybody ever asks me a question about something and I if there's something on my channel I can go back to and, direct them to or whatever, I mean, that's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really have the know-how to do all these crazy videos nor the equipment or anything like that. So anything I ever do is just going to be like raw fish room footage. I mean, it's not going to be anything fancy, and I don't know, it just kind of is what it is.
Well, that's completely fine too. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of how I started at first. Like I enjoy videos, so for me it was like I'll try to make videos, and my first videos, I think my second one was just like absolutely horrid. Like I don't even know how I even let that out there, but it's like, and I still only use I use a cell phone for everything. It's just kind of fun
Yep.
being able to just play around. And eventually I want to get a laptop and try to do a little bit more, but at the end I don't really care as long as I'm putting out stuff, like I said, documenting what I'm doing down here for the same kind of stuff. If you see yourself back on, like, I kind of cool to look back at some of the first videos and say, oh, because my fisherman has changed so much since then. It's like, oh, I used to have that in there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Look and see what it looked like. What did that? I couldn't remember having that. So that's very cool.
And yeah, it's not like I'm against, I guess making nice. It's just I mean, I work a lot. I work 5 days a week, 10 hours a day. And then I got to come home and I got to do fish stuff. I got 2 little girls. I got a family, my wife.
Oh, yeah.
And if I put the time into it, I'm sure I could, I could wing it. I could progressively get better, but as of right now, I just don't have the time to really focus on that aspect of it.
Well, it does take up a lot of time. I will completely not really admit that. There can be a strain sometimes over in my household too, because of the time I want to try to put into it. It's very hard to try to manage it all. For me, I get up so early in the mornings, and I do a lot of my filming and a lot of my stuff in the early morning hours, like on the weekends mostly, when everyone's still sleeping, so that way I don't interrupt too much in family time. But yeah, I completely get that part of it. It is very much a struggle trying to balance all of it.
It's a lot of early mornings and late nights.
Yeah, well, late night's not for me. I'm an old man.
Yeah.
Like usually by 10 o'clock, I'm out cold already. So my uptime is usually, like this morning, I was wide awake at like 3:30. I'm like, do I stay in bed? Do I get up? So how did you meet Kyle? That you hooked up with him for that your guys' live stream on Saturday nights?
I think we had met in the aquarium co-op, the forum,
Sure.
or not the forum, the Facebook group.
Okay.
I had posted. I got some of Nick from Keeping Fish Simple. I got some of his bug buffet. Watching his videos and seeing everybody take that food and just cloud it in the water. I wanted to do that, so I ordered some. I got it, and man, let me tell you what, that stuff is sweet. I really enjoy that food. I'm gonna have to get some more of that.
Do they sell that around here, or do you just have to order that from him directly?
Yeah, you gotta. It comes from Australia.
Okay.
So it takes like 3 weeks to get here. Shipping on it's like, I think it was like $15. The food costs $15, so it was like $30 bag of food. But the stuff is really nice. I really enjoy it, especially for like, I mean, the shrimp love it because it turns into a powder and just goes everywhere. Fry love it because it just turns into a powder and go everywhere. I mean, anything can really eat it, and it's just a really nice food to have in your arsenal.
That's cool. I've never tried it before, but I have seen it. Definitely looked interesting. My problem is I've got so much food from North Finn that they sent me like over a year ago. It's like I haven't had Thai food as of late, but eventually I'm going to have to. But yeah, that's definitely something I want to look into then. That's cool.
Yeah. So anyways, back to that. I posted that I had gotten some on the co-op Facebook group, and Kyle had commented on it and said that he'd be really interested in knowing how it affects water quality as far as feeding that food, because it high protein turns into a powder. There's probably, depending on where you're feeding it and what you're feeding it to, there could be a lot of it going uneaten, hiding in cracks and crevices and whatnot. So just kind of through that whole process, talking to him and updating him on how feeding the food was going, we kind of developed a relationship and just kind of blossomed from there.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
So yeah, like you said, you have your live stream Saturday. Is it every Saturday night?
We try to. We're not on like a strict schedule because we, he's got kids and a family too, and we got busy lives, and it's so yeah. We try to do every Saturday, but there's times we miss. They're on Kyle's channel.
So if you guys are interested in seeing Branton and Kyle on live streams on Saturday nights, right there, Side Out Aquatics, go Go, yeah, this merch. That's awesome. So go check that out and make sure you hit them up and go say hi to those guys. Kyle's, I've talked to Kyle a little bit through YouTube here, as well. He seems like a nice guy. I'd like to get him on live stream as well and give him a chat once in a while at some point. So
yeah, that would be cool.
So that's cool.
Yeah. He's got all the video editing and tech skills that I don't. So
you guys make the perfect combination then.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. Well, I guess I have another question for you then. Within the hobby itself, do you have like anyone that's inspired you that has brought you kind of to where you are now? It doesn't necessarily have to be like a YouTube creator. It could be anybody, maybe fish store owners or friends or family or someone that maybe inspired you within this hobby.
I mean, honestly, I didn't have a lot of inspiration to draw from. It was kind of, internet. Uh, I mean, I was involved with a few forums. So when I did the African cichlids, I was real heavy into the was it AfricanCichlidForum.com. I don't even know if that's still around, but just kind of, I guess browsing other people's, pictures of their tanks and stuff like that. I had never really, I mean, growing up, the guy at the fish store, his name was Joe. He was my mentor for a while. He was very knowledgeable and knew his stuff. He wasn't your typical, big box store employee that just barely knew enough to get the job. He actually knew what he was doing. So if I had to pick one, it would probably be him as far as, teaching me the down and dirty basics of the fish tank.
Nice. So I think we've talked once before. And are you located somewhere in Wisconsin? Is what you said you lived in?
Yeah, I'm in Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin. So I'm right on the Illinois-Wisconsin border. I'm in Beloit.
Okay.
So if I go 5 minutes north, I'm in Illinois or south. Yeah.
And then I'm in Sheboygan, so I'm probably about, what is that? Maybe like 2 hours, hour and 40 minutes away from you then, maybe? Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Not too terribly far, I'm sure.
Nope, right up the lake.
Yeah.
That's cool. So have you always lived there or were you from?
I grew up in Rockton, so that's like just across the border in Illinois.
Okay.
And then I was born in Rockford, lived in Rockton for my childhood, and then when I moved out of my parents' house, I lived in Rockford for a long time. And that's where I kind of had, my first experience with having my own fish room. I was breeding African cichlids for Petland in Cherry Valley. That was the store that Joe worked at. So he was taking a lot of my fish, and I had all kinds of big tanks in the basement of that of that townhouse I was renting, and yeah, eventually moved back up this way. Just kind of, I mean, Illinois kind of sucks. Just not. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's just not much going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, so I just came back up this way and been loving it ever since. I mean, I enjoy, like I said, not that I'm, crazy far up into Wisconsin, but I enjoy it up here a lot better.
Yeah. I love Wisconsin. I mean, I know it's weird to say that now. When I was younger, I wanted to get the hell out of here, but I never ever did. But I enjoy the seasons, and where I live, it's not really a big city. So, I mean, I can go down the street. We got some nice parks and wooded areas and stuff like that. That's, I enjoy that too. So, but yeah, that's cool. Like I said, I remember you saying that you were from Wisconsin, you're living in Wisconsin. So I definitely wanted to talk about that a little bit and see if that's actually what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second here.
No problem.
I know my screen keeps going from like clear to blurry to clear. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
No, I hear you. I saw that. I can still hear you good though.
Yeah.
So you go to swap meets a lot? Do you sell a lot of your swap meets, or you just go to swap meets to just kind of check stuff out?
Yeah, I like going to swaps. I don't say I go, religiously, but if I try and go to a decent amount every year and just see what's out there. It's definitely the place to go if you're wanting fish and supplies and food. I mean, there's no better place to go than one of the swaps. I mean, everything's usually reasonably priced. You get to meet the people you're getting the stuff from, so that's kind of cool.
Hmm.
Um, you kind of build up relationships just going to the swap. It's really nice.
You ever sold at them, or you just go to them?
Um, I haven't personally sold at the swaps. I just go to them. I mean, I do sell stuff. I sell a lot of plants, like on local Facebook groups. Um, fish, shrimp, a lot of my stuff. So I was lucky enough to have met Tristan from uh what Tristan's Tropical Fish. That's in Evansville. And so I, kind of developed a good relationship with him, and he's able to take a lot of my livestock since Facebook kind of frowns upon that. There's really no good way of doing that unless you're going to swaps or create your
Yeah.
own website or something. But uh, so yeah, luckily I can kind of bring everything of excess that I have over there. It's been nice.
That's cool. Speaking of Tristan, I have bought fish from him in the past.
Okay.
At Swap and actually online, I bought from him. My wife's cousin was actually talking to me about going up by his store in the next week or two. He wanted to go get some rams from him, but
Yeah,
yeah,
he's got some really pretty ones in there now.
yeah, he's got a really cool setup. I remember
He
seeing him
does.
years ago. How I actually found him was actually on YouTube. I think it was it Jay Wilson or someone did a tour of the greenhouse he had with
Yeah.
all the fish. I know he's expanded with a little storefront and everything now,
Hmm.
but I thought that's really cool, the whole setup he's got out there.
Yeah, it's really neat.
So very, very cool. Well, someone does have a question in here, which I think is kind of interesting from Jeff Rowe. How do
Yeah.
you build a community where there isn't local clubs and swaps? You have any suggestions?
Uh, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, this community here, I mean,
Yeah,
you
that'd be
know,
my.
that's about it. Otherwise, I mean, starting your own club or, building a community where you're at, if there's nothing around, I feel like, man, I don't know. That would be a lot of work. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to want to do it, but I don't think I could ever do it.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing. It would take a lot of work, definitely. If it's something you're very interested in, you would have to probably be the person that starts it. Like in my city in Sheboygan, there are no clubs. I'd have to go to either Milwaukee or Green Bay, which isn't terrible, but swap meets as well, Milwaukee or Green Bay. I had contemplated a little bit once in a while, but starting a club, you'd have to reach out, probably start Facebook groups and social media, YouTube on here, try to find people within your area, word of mouth, maybe other people that you talk to, find friends or other people within your community that like fish that maybe want to band together that create some kind of group would definitely be a way to do it. Like I said, Facebook would probably be one too. I have a Facebook group, a Sheboygan Aquarium group that I started mostly to share my videos, but I always find how much people like ban on like wanting to get rid of fish and stuff like that in other Facebook groups. I don't really care. So like if people want to say they want to try to find new waters for these fish and that, and I don't care. Put it on there. I don't give if Facebook wants to do whatever to me, then do whatever. It's not a huge group, but I figure that way locally within the community, there's at least one group, one Facebook group you can do that. But so something like that, I would say potentially is to
Hmm.
just got to put your head out there and do the legwork. And you said it's going to be probably a lot of work, but definitely something
Yeah.
you can try.
Another thing you could try, I guess. So as long as you've got like a solid, mom and pop fish store where you live, you could maybe team up with them, kind of advertise through their store and hold meetings there. That would
Sure.
probably be the easiest option to get one up and going.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. And Jeff's, oh, wrong one. Hey, Kevin. Jeff's, I just lost it. Where are we? Yeah, is jumping up and down on me. Jeff said online, unfortunately, then hope to find more local interest. Yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe if your local fish store is like I have a PetSmart in my town, which I only get maybe like some food from once in a while, frozen food. But if you have places you can post maybe something of interest, like, hey, I want to start a club up, blah, 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 local minded, whatever, that's the way maybe too.
Yeah, like I don't know how many grocery stores have the community board anymore, but
Yeah,
our
that's the
our
problem.
our, our Woodman's here in town does, so that's always an option too. I don't think anybody's reading newspapers anymore, so running an ad there would be a lost cause.
Rarely, yeah. Jeffrell says, like, I know there's a keepers and breeders here. There just isn't any kind of community. A club would be cool, but swaps would be awesome. Yeah, swaps are
Yeah.
very cool.
Now,
Unfortunately, you just may have to do a little more. I don't know where you live, but I know there are areas that don't really have them. I was talking to someone, I don't know what state he lives in anymore, if he was down in Georgia area, and said there were no swaps anywhere near him. He's never been to one. I'm like, I didn't know that. I mean, I always assume there's going to be clubs in the areas, but I guess that would be the case. You just have to try to find them, I guess, and may have to do some traveling to find them.
yeah, because any club or swap that I want to go to is at least an hour away. I mean, there's nothing under an hour where I am.
Yep, me too. About an hour. I
Yeah.
have Milwaukee. That one they always have in New Berlin. That one's probably about an hour, a little bit, right about an hour, and then
Southern Wisconsin Fish Swap, is that the one?
no, the Milwaukee Aquarium Society one.
Oh, Mass, yeah, Milwaukee.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay.
they have that other one you're talking about.
Yeah,
They
that's Cottage Grove though. Yeah.
Yeah, last year they had contacted me and asked if I wanted to have a table there, but I don't keep so much stock to be able to hit all these swaps to be able to sell at them. And I usually go to the one up in Appleton
Okay.
for my brain is not working. Rescue JNR Aquatic Animal Rescue. They host two a year, usually in
Okay.
August and February. I usually try
Hmm.
to go to those. I wasn't able to go to the one in August, but I'll go in February. I get tables for them now. Even if I only sell like a little bit of stuff, it's nice just to be able to set up a table and just talk to people and
Mm-hmm.
browse. And plus, I'm telling you this, spending $25 on a table to get early admission lets you go walk around the place before people get in, so you can get the stuff before other people do.
Mm-hmm.
I find that the best. Oh. Mom and pop shops, yeah. If you have any local mom and pop shops around, maybe there is one like around me too, up in Plymouth. It's a guy that has a fish store in his basement, and it's been in the family for years and years and years. It's not big, but finding anybody like that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to help you with that. All right. So, you have any other projects coming up in the near future besides setting up more of those tanks?
Yeah, I got to set up more of those tanks. I got to eventually figure out what I'm doing with the pond. I thought I was dead set on doing some longfin white clouds. But after having taken everything out of that tank twice now and draining it and catching fish and just, oh my God, it takes 2 hours to take everything out of there, put everything back in. And whatever I put in that pond, I want to make sure it's gonna stay in that pond this time.
Yeah.
So I think I've got that to do. Then yeah, just not really, just trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I guess with all the other empty tanks that I currently have, I definitely want to get a few species of cories going. I really love cories. Just a lot of the smaller species stuff and just kind of see what I can and can't breed.
How many tanks you got to set up yet?
13, 14.
You got room for
So,
them?
yeah, I'll find it.
Well, we always got to find a room. I know.
Yeah. Yeah, so underneath this stand is where I've got 6 of them set up underneath there, so I just got to get them filled and going. So they'll be more or less on the floor, which is fine, whatever. I mean, they're just, they're small tanks, so it's not a big deal. And then I got a 29 gallon that I got to build a stand for. I think eventually I'm gonna get around to doing that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm renting a house where I'm at, so I don't want to get anything going too crazy. So that's why, I'm not setting up an air loop. I'm not, you know, I'm not doing anything too crazy. It's whatever I can move when I have to move it with as much ease.
That makes sense. Yeah. That would always be my fear with everything down in my basement is if we ever had to move. I'm like, what the heck am I ever gonna do with all this
Yeah,
shit?
yeah. All them big tanks I had in Rockford, they stayed. I didn't even mess with that. Uh-uh.
Yeah, I could only imagine. Like
Yeah.
I probably I don't know if I could ever have gotten into like all these dirty tanks down here if I knew that there was a potential of me not staying here. Just the
Hmm.
thought of setting that all up and having to tear them down for the most part. I mean, I guess you could drain the water and have people help you lift them, but that's a lot of weight with dirt and substrate and
It
everything.
is. Yeah, I did that to my 65 gallon that I have downstairs. I moved it from my apartment into this house, and that's kind of what we did. We left everything in it, had like 2 inches or just above the substrate,
Mm-hmm.
about that far, and I was in an upper apartment, so we had to bring it down the stairs,
Oof.
and man, that was a task. So basically what we did was I had a piece of scrap carpet. We set it on the carpet and we had both of us going down the stairs just kind of with our hands on the tank, and we just
Mm-hmm.
kind of slid it, let it come down the stairs by itself.
Nice.
Which because we tried carrying it, and whoever was going down pretty much had all the weight, and
Yeah.
whoever was on top, kind of on the other end, I mean, there was nothing they could do with it.
It's like if it
So
goes like sorry.
yeah, we tried it, and it was kind of scary. We're like, we're gonna, one of us is gonna die doing this, so we
Mhm.
kind of had to brainstorm, and we just kind of figured we'd float it down on a piece of carpet, and it worked, so it was
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah, when I had thought about changing some of my tanks around in here, I had thought about how the heck am I going to do it? It's like I'm scared to try to lift these things. I don't want to take the substrate out because I'm out. I don't want to restart my tanks.
Hmm.
Like my thought was, what if I could get like a piece of plywood that I could slide it off onto, so at least I know I'm not going to be like stressing any of the corners or edges while trying to lift it, where it should sit flat. But I just opted against it and just said, screw it. I'm gonna keep it how it is. Because I
Yeah.
had originally thought about building this wall up and going higher, but I was like, that's too much work.
Hmm.
I'll just wait for the wife to someday let me expand down here, which will never happen. One can dream.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. So, what else? Anything else in life happening with you, buddy?
Huh? Man, not really. Oops, somebody's coming in the fish room. Who's there? You want to come say hi? Yeah. Oh, say hello.
Hello, how's it going? You
This
like
is
the fish?
Willow. This is my youngest. Yeah, she likes the fish. You
I
guys
think I
watching me
seen you in a
downstairs?
photo setting up some sand in the tank the other day.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, she helped me set up pretty much all of these behind me. She's
Nice.
putting sand in there, putting water in there, and yeah,
I think
she's
that's very cool to get the kids involved, especially at a
mm-hmm.
young age. My daughter's 8 right now, and she used to come down here every single day. I would come feed fish, and she had like that beta I was talking about. That was like her responsibility. She would feed all the time, so it was nice to get her involved in it. So now she loves like watching the fish, and she's
Okay.
probably upstairs watching the live stream too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very cool to get them interactive and included into it.
All right, bye, baby. Hey, door.
Yep.
But
Yeah, you
yeah,
definitely got to
huh?
start them young. It's very cool to get that next generation involved. Definitely.
Yeah, she's pretty good at 1 second here. Let me try something. All right. She's pretty good at catching fish. She helps me catch fish all the time when I need fish caught. She's good at cleaning the duckweed off the top of tanks, all the floaters, whatever. Uh, she's actually hatched her own brine shrimp a few times, so that's pretty
Really?
cool. Yeah, oh
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
I mean, nothing crazy, just a glass jar, some eggs and salt water.
Sure,
But
sure. Well,
but
still,
yeah,
that's
she
cool.
you got a kick out of that. And yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. Like I said, I love that part of it too. That
Mhm.
I think is very important to continue this hobby is to get the next generations to be
Yeah.
interested in it and to learn from it too. Because I feel like, especially like when I was younger and I first got into this hobby, I wasn't a kid, but I was like 19 or 20. But I knew nothing about any of this stuff. I just jumped in head first and had no idea what I was doing. And it really wasn't until I was later in life that I freaking found information on YouTube and found some of the stuff to really know how things are. So it's nice to be able to kind of pass that down to that next generation so they can learn that and maybe continue this hobby for all of us down the road too. I think that's very cool.
hmm Yeah, and I see Kevin Rosenberg. He says he's taking his kids out to a park, collect leaves. That's actually what we're doing today after this live stream. We're gonna go down to Big Hill Park and I'm gonna collect a bunch of oak leaves and maybe acorn tops and play at
Nice.
the park for a little while, go on a hike, and yeah, it should be fun.
Cool. Yeah, I am going to go upstairs and sit my butt on the chair and watch the Green Bay Packers play the Chicago Bears today is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Then maybe go outside after, depending what happens. But yeah, I got to get outside myself though. I need to get down to a local waterway and get a couple of jars of resurrection jars and some stuff. I've got a few projects I want to get going with them too. So it's nice to just to be able to get out there and venture around.
Now, when it comes to those doing those resurrection jars, I've personally never done the resurrection jar. I have jars that I let go wild, so they're kind of
Mm-hmm.
like my own cultured
Sure.
resurrection jars. Um, but as far as collecting them in the wild, is there a better time of year to do it? Like, would now be a good time to do it when everything's kind of cooling down and not so active?
You can do it at any time of year. I
Mhm.
actually went out in the middle of winter last year. I actually made a video on it. Stuck my hand down through the ice and grabbed some and found just about the same exact life I found in the
Hmm.
middle of the summer. The only
Okay.
problem is I think in the summer you're gonna find more of maybe like the midge fly larva and like stuff like
Yeah.
that compared to the winter months.
hmm
So yeah, when it gets cooler, it might be better for that type of stuff. But
Okay.
um, as far as that, it was all pretty much the same type of organisms that I found. And I have some of those jars too, like you're talking about. You kind of self cultured. I took
hmm
dry leaves with water. It was just sitting in there, and then I took an old filter that I had from a power head and just sprung it out in there, and all of a sudden Cyclops popped up everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's see if we can try to do something here. So, but I don't know. I really enjoy trying to bring that part of it in it. Now I know we talked about planario worm earlier off of camera
Ugh.
on your stream last night. That I pretty sure I introduced them in some of my tanks from that.
hmm
So there are liabilities to it. Definitely, they're not 100% like. Depends on how you feel about planaria worm, I guess. But for the most part, you can see any of the bigger organisms you don't want in your tanks to pick out of there, and that's the whole point of being able to observe them for
Yeah.
at least 30 days. My idea is to make a permanent tank basically for it and try to just keep that as a smaller tank and just let it sit for quite a while so I can really
hmm
watch what's in there. And then in the long run, just add leaves to that tank and just put the leaves with all the microorganisms on into my aquariums and try to do it
Yeah.
that way and see if what kind of result I have from it instead of
hmm
having to grab. Because this was the thing with these resurrection jars. There's the instructions for them have changed so much over the last year and a half or so from like the father fish side of it. Like when I first made my first video, when I first did it, it was basically grab a handful of gunk is what he called it. So it was like mud, whatever, you put it in there. Then it turned into, no, you don't want mud, you want the leaf litter. Okay. And then it was you pour the jar in. Then it was now you don't pour the jar in, you just put the leaves in or you just put a little bit in. So it's like there really is no one really knows really the best way to do it, I think, in my opinion. It's basically what
hmm
works for you. So I want to try things a little differently this time. So that's my but getting out in nature, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
point of it to be able to do all that. So anyway, sorry, this cold is starting to build up in my chest again, but we are good. So just to take care of a little business on my end first, I just want to say that I am booking guests for December. So if you're interested in coming on this live stream and having a chat with me, hit me up at pattiesaquatics@gmail, or you can hook me up at Facebook Messenger or Instagram, any of that, and let me know if you're interested. I do have, I'm not going to announce who it is yet, but I got in contact with somebody to be a guest at the 29th of December, the last Sunday of December, which is, I can't, it's a monster guest. Let's just say that. And I'm very excited for it. And so if you want to get on the card for December, let me know. But other than that, back to you now. But I need to get some business taken care of. But, well, we're almost at that hour mark anyway. So is there anything else you want to talk about here? Like any projects or anything you want to bring up to anybody?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, not really. I think we pretty much hit it all. I mean, there's, some shelves I need to hang up in this room and kind of get it straightened out. I got stuff just laying everywhere. But yeah, just kind of my focus is going to be making this room into what it can be, I guess, while I'm here. I've already been, spending a lot of time up here. This is pretty much where I live now. I got a TV up here, so I'm just turn the TV on and stare at fish tanks and mess with fish tanks, and it's been a lot of fun. It's nice to have this back again. It's been a long time since I've had a lot of tanks to mess around with.
Yeah, it's fun to always kind of have something to do. Like, yeah. I always find myself coming down here, even if it's just I make an excuse to come down here just to kind of look around a little bit. I don't have them in my living room or anything anymore. They're all down here in my basement, so I kind of miss seeing them once in a while. So that's cool. I thought it's very exciting.
Do you have any upcoming swaps that you're going to be going to then?
Honestly, the only one I really got planned to go to is in February, up in when he has it again, up in Appleton or Neenah. Usually it is. I don't know. It's usually the only one I go to. I haven't been down to the Milwaukee one in quite a while. This isn't bad. I haven't seen of any other new ones around here lately, but we'll see. But that's usually the one I'll go to probably next, because by that time I should have enough stock of things that I want to sell to. And plants I can always have. It's just a matter of knowing ahead of time, make sure I get it. But that's a lot of work too, trying to get a table to sell. Like I have to bag everything up and get it all ready. But you can actually make some pretty good coin at those shows. The February one, the winter ones are the most busier ones. And
I believe it.
Last winter, I think I brought everything I brought. I sold everything except for, I think, like 2 bags of fish and like 1 bag of plants. But everything usually goes real quick. And it's cool just to make a few bucks, and then that gives the excuse to go buy more.
Yeah.
But anyway, so. All right. Well, we're almost at that hour mark. I appreciate you coming on, Branton. It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's great to get to know you better, and definitely love that you're in the hobby. I love watching what you're doing on your channel and stuff. So if you're not familiar with Branton's channel, go hit that subscribe button. I do have the link to his channel in the description of this live stream. I don't know if anyone put it up here for you, but it'll be on there. I definitely will put it in the description of the video. Make sure you hit Branton's channel up. Also go check him out on Saturday nights on Kyle's channel and Outside in Aquatics, and watch them in their live stream and give them some support. And like I said, appreciate you coming on, and thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Well, everyone else have a great Sunday, and have fun outside or whatever you're going to do with this Sunday. Enjoy your families, enjoy your fish, and always remember to think outside the box and take a step back into nature. See you guys later.
See you guys.